What happened to A$AP Rocky? An artist who at one point was considered to be one of the hottest artists out, and compared to the top names at the time like Drake and Kendrick Lamar. It seems Rocky was on trajectory for greatness, but is now an artist who's somewhat irrelevant, so let's talk about it. Rocky and the A$AP Mob were something of a breath of fresh air when they came out into the game. The Mob were kind of like a modern Wu-Tang with a bunch of members, but the crew consisted of artists, producers, and stylists. Rocky would stand out with his unique fashion, with some other fashion icons even claiming him to be the best dressed rapper. Along with his taste in fashion, Rocky also had a unique style in music, which consisted of dreary chopped up beats with solid flows and lyrics mixed with a New York style infused with Texas inspiration. Rocky's debut mixtape, Live Love A$AP, is considered one of the hardest debut mixtapes ever. A mixtape filled with bangers. I swear I hear songs off this tape and it just transports me to certain times in my life. But Rocky wasn't just a one-hit wonder, he followed up with some classic albums. Long Live A$AP had some of the biggest names at the time featured on the album, including Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Joey Badass, and 2 Chainz, just to name a few. The album would sell 139,000 copies first week, and keep in mind, this is his debut album. The full album was also leaked a week before release, and this was before digital downloads had really taken over, so we're talking physical copies getting bought off shelves. It says a lot about the popularity of Rocky at the time, and it could be said he couldn't have had a better introduction to the mainstream. His follow-up album, At Long Last A$AP, would see similar success, selling 146,000. Then you had features on the Cozy Tapes, which were compilation albums with the collaboration of the A$AP Mob and friends. A$AP really couldn't do wrong. Bro was dropping great music and was even diving deeper into fashion, having collabs with some of the biggest brands. So what happened? Why did Rocky fall off in a way? I think it's a conversation that could have a lot of theories. Some say it was the breaking up of the A$AP Mob as they seemed to split up, some of them even beefing. Some say it was the death of A$AP Yams, who was the founder of the group and was the mastermind behind their success. One factor I'd bring up is Rocky's gap between drops, something that in today's music landscape could spell disaster for an artist's career. People move on from one artist to the next at such a fast speed. If you're not consistent with drops, then your career drops. There was a 3-year gap between Testing, his most recent album, and the one before, At Long Last A$AP. Yes, he did drop music with the collab Cozy Tapes, but we're talking just solo albums here. With it now being 2024, his last album is now 6 years old, which is wild. It's like crazy how fast time passes. But that's a huge gap not to drop an album. It wasn't like he was dropping too many singles either. Maybe he was just focusing on endeavors outside of music, like fashion. Which is fine, artists aren't expected to drop music if they don't want to. He was also imprisoned for a time in a Swedish jail, but that's a story for another time. It could have even been the reception of his Testing album, as the album was met with mixed reviews and was definitely one of his most debated albums to date, as he switched up his style a bit, going with a more creative approach, both in the music and the visuals. As of late, Rocky seems to only be brought up about things outside of music, like his relationship with Rihanna, or his illegal troubles. At one point, Rocky was the topic in music, and now it seems he's just a headline for Instagram posts. However, he did just drop a feature on Metro's new album where he actually took shots at Drake. It's been common knowledge for a while now, the love triangle between Drake, Riri, and Rocky. If you ask me, Drake just sounds like one of those bitter exes who's mad he can't hit no more. But I mean, Rocky and Rihanna have a family now. To be still taking shots at them is kind of childish on Drake's part. So I'm kind of happy to see him not only dropping new music, but clapping back at Drake. It's kind of weird though, because even though Rocky dropped that diss, it seems like it hasn't attracted much attention, as it's been kind of overshadowed by the overall beef within the big three. But where does Rocky go from here? Should he capitalize off that feature and drop a new album? I say it's really up to him. He has a family now and he's given us great music for years. I wouldn't be mad if he just dropped it to focus on his family and fashion. Am I let down by his legacy? Kinda. Just because I feel like he could have done so much more if he was more consistent. Maybe he would still be held in that conversation of top artists. He has said he's working on an album titled Don't Be Dumb, so let's see if he follows through with that. I think it could go a couple ways. Either the album is hard and he makes a big comeback, or the album flops and he just continues down the path of irrelevancy. But we'll see what happens.